This is how the show goes, folks. If you're new to You Should Know This, a brand new show that has its own life, its own animal. Ron is very knowledgeable about music, and he will say a line of a popular song that I should probably know, and I have to try to guess it. And if I don't get it right, he gives me clues. And then I know I'm very knowledgeable about movies, but I don't know anything about music, and Ron doesn't know much about movies. So then I will do a line from a very popular movie, and Ron will see, and then the same thing. He'll try to guess it, and I'll give him clues, and we'll see who can get it. So figures out who should know this. Ron, lead us off.
Graham, I got a fun one for you. I think you're going to get this pretty quick, actually. In the days we sweated out on the streets of a runaway American dream at night.
Oh, dude, this is Bruce Springsteen. This is Born to Run. Come on now.
All right. I thought all right. I was going to go a little bit deeper cut, but I did something.
Well,
I did something obvious.
Here's something you probably didn't know. This song was a big deal to me in high school. You know, it was like my first
too.
serious love. I had this whirlwind romance in high school, and this was like our song. So I listened to the song like 1,000 times. So I know all the lines to it. At night we ride on mansions of glory and
suicide machines. Remember when you came over for Christmas Eve that one time, and we were all like drunkenly singing that when you showed up?
Yes.
Remember, that was so much fun.
Grow and stepping out over. I walked in and everyone was like,
you walked in and we were all singing Born to Run. Like, I think Tina Desiree Berg was like holding the microphone for me, and I had this like guitar. We were like, oh.
It's a death trap. It's a suicide rap. We gotta get out while we're young. Cause traps like us, baby, we were born to
run. Well, that was pretty impressive, Graham. But here's a little bit of a sidebar question that we can have. Why is there a particular reason why I might have picked Bruce Springsteen today?
It's New Jersey's birthday.
It is New Jersey's birthday. New Jersey turned 12 today, and no, close. It's his birthday.
That's what I figured. Bruce Springsteen's birthday. That's cool.
Bruce Springsteen's birthday today. I think he's like 72. But
wow,
yeah, Springsteen is he had a birthday today.
That's impressive, Ron.
Yeah, good for him having a birthday and all that.
How did he do it? How did he pull it off?
How did he pull that off? Dude, when you're the boss, you get a birthday every year, man. You just every year he's got one, that guy. He's like, yeah.
That's what you get to do when you're Bruce Springsteen. You get to have a birthday every year and nobody questions you.
We all like have those moments where like you've seen High Fidelity, right? To bring a movie into this. Which I like the book better than the movie, but the movie's really great, and the TV show is really great too. I actually really enjoyed the High Fidelity TV series. It was really good. I was bummed out they didn't renew it, but yeah, where he's like he talks to Bruce for advice, and Bruce is just sitting there on a guitar, like giving him advice. We've all like had that happen in our heads before. I used to make fake text. You remember when that meme was popular? Where you would use that app where you could make fake text messages between you and someone else?
No.
You've seen it online where it's like it looks like a phone and it's like text message. And it was really popular a couple years ago where it's like text bubbles and you fill it in, then you fill in who the person was. I used to occasionally I would like tweet out like screenshots where it was like I made these fake text messages between me and Bruce Springsteen. Where I would like just ask him, and like he would ask me for my sauce recipe and stuff like that. It was just goofy.
What sauce recipe did you give him?
We didn't get that far down in the thread. It was just like he's just like, "Hey man, can I have your sauce recipe?" And I'd be like, "I don't know, boss. I thought I emailed it to you. You know, I don't remember all this. I mean, this was a long time ago."
What's your favorite Bruce Springsteen song?
Ooh, that is tough. That is very tough because there are so many. I mean, Thunder Road's up there. I mean, that's
Mm.
just a classic. I mean, Thunder Road is just like, wow. No Surrender's up there. Born to Run's up there. Let's see. The River is pretty high up there for me. Atlantic City's pretty high up there for me. Um, but Two Hearts Are Better Than One is pretty high up there for me. And oh man, what are some of the other
So it seems like a
um
lot of his early stuff is your.
Rosalita? Yeah, earlier. I mean, some of the later stuff I like too, though. I mean, Devils and Dust is like one of my favorite records, and that was like '05 or '04. And what else are some of like my
If you would have
favorites?
picked something off of Devils and Dust, I wouldn't have gotten anything.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a much more, yeah, that wasn't as commercially known. I mean, it's, yeah, I wouldn't have done that, but yeah, it's that's a great record though. I mean, the title track "Devils and Dust" is pretty amazing. I mean, that was like his big acoustic record since Nebraska, and it's really good. So yeah, "Devils and Dust." I could name a bunch of Springsteen songs, but yeah, Rosalita's the one that a lot of people. That's like one of my favorite Springsteen tunes, and that's off the Wild, the Innocent, and the E Street Shuffle. So that's like that predates Born to Run.
Have you ever seen him live?
I've seen him 5 times. I've seen him 5 times. I've seen him 4 times with E Street Band. I've seen him 1 time solo.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've seen Bruce Springsteen. I mean, yeah, I've seen him. I saw him once in Seattle when I lived up there, and then I've seen him in Pittsburgh a nice handful of times, and then I saw him solo in that was also in Pittsburgh. It was like I was in college at that point, but it was in between semesters. And that was a really interesting show. Like he didn't play any hits really. He just played a lot of the stuff off Devils and Dust because it had just been released. And then he did like some old blues stuff. Like he did this one song where he just had like a foot drum and a harmonica and he like played this entire song like that. Yeah, it's pretty because he's actually a more versatile musician than you can tell from like
Mhm.
when he's in the band, because there's such a talented band with so many great players that he just kind of plays guitar and sings. But when he's really just doing his thing, you're like, oh wow, he's a really great piano player and he can play harmonica really well. And he's actually, a really good guitarist. It's just, there's so many other great guitarists in the E Street Band that he doesn't really noodle all that often. But yeah, man. I've seen him like 5 times. And I hope to see him soon. My wife has never seen the E Street Band, so I'm hoping that's something we can do together at some point when he tours again.
Cat B just put in the chat. Ron listened to Thunder Road live at the Hammersmith Odeon London 75. Perfection.
Oh yeah, I will. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, some of those shows, I've seen some of the live footage from like '76 and stuff. They released some of it not too long ago, but yeah, I mean, I've heard like those shows from like 70, like '73, and then when Born to Run was released, and I think Born to Run was like '75, I think, and then
Yeah.
like the Born to Run tours like around that time. I mean, yeah, those were just top-notch shows from start to finish, so I've been told. So yeah, totally.
He's one of those guys I got to see.
Oh, yeah, you gotta see him. Yeah, I mean, his live shows, like, they're second to none. He still does, like, 3.5 hours, and
Jesus.
it's like, yeah, it's just a rock and roll experience, man. And, like, they're just an incredible band, and they're really, like, in many ways, a family. I mean, it's just a beautiful story, and, so, yeah, E Street Band. His book was pretty cool, too. I liked his book.
Well, I remember too when we would go on the road, and anytime we'd have a rental car that had a Sirius XM satellite, we'd listen to what's his name, um, who was in Sopranos, that was in the E Street Band.
Steven Van Zandt. Well, that's
Yeah,
another. I mean, some people actually gave him a shout out. I love Steven Van Zandt because I just love the way he, became an actor and a screenwriter, and he has a record label, and he has, in my opinion, by far the best station on Sirius XM, Little Steven's Underground Garage. That's like one of the few pillars left of what it means to really be a music mixologist because he has so many great DJs on that station that just really curate these amazing playlists of music and play this awesome music. And that's kind of like what radio used to be about before it all
Yeah.
got homogenized and like it's a bunch of computers now. But that used to be what radio really was, and now that's sort of a dying thing, you know, because even like music nerds my age, that was something we had to seek out. That was kind of before our time, even. So the younger generation, I don't even know if they know about
Mhm.
that sort of thing. That might be something that totally passed them completely
They,
because they just never were exposed to it.
yeah, they should. They should get this. They should listen to those Sirius XM channels, because that's what I grew up with. Was the DJ, was the curator, and the DJ, the radio DJ, would, you know, play their style of music, and you know, and you'd get the late night guys or the weekend guy who really wanted to tell you a story about this song and this album and how it was made. And I remember that, especially too when I would listen to like jazz stations. They would really talk about the jazz stations. I love that, especially when I moved to Chicago from Wisconsin when I was 12. The jazz station there would like tell you this whole, there were certain shows. And then there was a really good jazz station in LA when I moved to LA, and they would have like Friday nights were salsa night, and they'd play salsa music and tell you the story about that. And then, you know, they had a big band DJ and just played big band and would tell you about Benny Goodman and all this, you know, like it was really, and the old school rock guys were like that too. And that's what Steven Van Zandt brought back to those. And you turned me onto that channel.
Oh, cool, man.
When we were on the road,
Yeah.
and they would tell great stories about the history of the music and the band. And this guy came in, and you know, it was just really,
Oh, especially Steven, dude. I mean, when
mhm.
he's on the mic, I mean, he is like an encyclopedia of music, and he's a really good DJ. Like, he has a really good voice for it, and he's just really, yeah. I mean, he's just a really likable guy on the mic, and it's just, yeah, it's so cool. Like, that station is just such a brilliant, brilliant station, and like, I used to have Sirius. I don't anymore, and it's like the one thing I really miss is that station. Like, that was the only station I listened to it eventually. Like, that was just like, you know, I mean, I'm sure there was other good stuff, but I just love that station, and I just like would only listen to that.
Yeah. I would listen to, well, you turned me on to that channel. Then I would listen to the Pearl Jam channel. And then I would listen to various, like the 90s at 9, whatever, 9 on 90s, or each one of the channels were that. And then of course I'd listen to baseball. That's why I had Sirius XM, so I could listen to baseball when I drive around. How about, all right, let's everybody hit the like button, share this out on your social media, ladies and gentlemen. And I will answer the Rockfin tips when we're done with this section. And then I do have a segment that I will be doing. All right. Here's my movie, Ron Placone. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy. Don't look in the chat.
No, I'm not looking in the chat. Is that one of the Star Wars? No?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is? You will never find a more wretched Obi-Wan said that, so it's A New Hope.
Yes!
Yeah, baby! Holy shit, we both nailed it this time.
Oh my God.
It's never happened.
We've never had both guys get it out of the gate. That's amazing.
It's when he goes to the cantina, right? Like, they go to the cantina, and that he says that to Luke, right? Like, he's like, "You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy."
Yeah, they're up before they go into Mos Eisley, and he goes, "Mos Eisley, you'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy."
Yeah.
And then they go in, and that's when he does the Jedi mind trick.
Yes.
He's like,
he gets them in
you
there.
don't need to see his passes or whatever.
Yeah.
These aren't the droids you're looking for. These aren't the droids you're looking for.
Yes, and he takes the droids. And I think in like when they released the unedited version of that movie, Han Solo meets with Jabba the Hutt.
Yes.
Around that same time.
So you probably you obviously didn't see the original first. You saw the re-release in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a scene that they shot in the original, which is This Is Star Wars: A New Hope, which was the first one. It came out in 1977, broke all these box office records. And it was just some guy in a hat, and they were like, George Lucas was like, this Jabba, he couldn't figure out like what Jabba was supposed to look like, and he just didn't like the footage. So then by the time they got to Return of the Jedi, which by the way was originally titled, you know what the original title of Return of the Jedi was?
I do not.
Revenge of the Jedi.
Oh,
But
that's not the Jedi way.
They don't have revenge. So George Lucas quickly changed it. So if you have any poster that says Revenge of the Jedi, is very, very valuable in the, you know, in that world, in the, what is it, mementos or
collectors,
collectors,
right? Like
collectors.
just collectors that, yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff. I mean, a lot of those original figures are probably worth a couple bucks at this point.
Oh God, I had all of them as a kid. I mean, I would be, if I kept all the comic books I had as a kid and all those Star Wars figures and Bionic Man action figures I would have.
Yeah, man.
I'd probably,
if they're in good condition and you still have everything and all the accessories and stuff, that's worth a few bucks. If they're like in shit condition, then they're not worth anything. But
right. If I kept them in the box or whatever.
Yeah.
But so when they did Return of the Jedi, and they, that was now 1984, I think, is when Jedi came out. So a full 7 years after.
Time?
Yeah. So there was, there was Return of the Jedi was 77, Empire Strikes Back with, I think, was 80, and then Jedi was 84.
All right.
And so when Jedi came in, they had, you know, I think it was, I don't know if it was Stan Winston, but might have been one of these like very famous Hollywood like creature puppetry guys, right? Yeah. So they created what Jabba the Hutt was. So the first time we ever saw Jabba was in Return of the Jedi. And he's this big gross monster, and that whole thing was great. So then when they did the re-release in the 90s, and now 20 years later, they had the computer technology to digitize this. So he went back to the original scene of Han Solo talking to Jabba and digitized in a big Jabba the Hutt. And that was all and then put in all the new stuff. I think that was my complaint with the re-release. Although
you didn't dig it.
I was so pumped when they re-released, because I was like, oh my God, I was like more Star Wars. Like
badass, man.
It was nuts. There was things that was cool to see, like that scene and some cool stuff that George Lucas added. I think in certain scenes he might have added too much stuff, like the scene where they come into Mos Eisley and Obi-Wan that we were talking about goes, these aren't the droids you're looking for. There's all this stuff flying around. Like they put that particular scene got a little too busy for me, but overall I loved seeing Han talk to Jabba the Hutt. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was a neat scene. I don't remember like all the other details of but I remember like there'd be a few kind of Easter eggy type things where you'd be like, oh, that's like, it'd be like a certain character walking by that you didn't originally see at that time, but you saw them in the, so yeah. I mean, it was pretty neat, especially to see on like the big screen and stuff. But, you know, especially after the lackluster that would follow with those newer movies.
Those prequels are so
the enthusiasm was short-lived. We've talked the prequels before. Episode 3 is the only one I think's okay. I like episode 3, and then the 7, 8, 9 I thought were okay, but 1 and 2, that was rough.
1 and 2 is the hype leading up to 1. So
yeah, no, it was a lot. I mean, I remember that, man. I mean, dude, like, because that was like, for my generation, that was our first. Right. Oh, this is our era. And we were so jazzed, man. I mean, it was like everybody was going. Like it was like, it wasn't, are you going to see Star Wars this weekend? It was like, where are you going to see Star Wars this weekend? And it wasn't just the comic book kids. It was everybody. It was everybody from the captain of, well, there wasn't a football team. I was too young, but it was everybody from like, you know, the coolest kid in school to like everyone was going.
So I was living in LA already at that time, and the Chinese theater, there were people camped out for weeks to get to the opening, like camped out on Hollywood Boulevard to watch that movie. It was
Yeah.
nuts. It was the hype about it was so nuts. And we were all just like, all my friends were saying the same thing. Like, where are we going to see this? How are we going to do? Like, what are we going to, like, people were going crazy. And
then they saw the movie.
yeah. And everyone kind of walked out like, yeah, that was all right.
Okay. I mean, I guess
Wow.
that they're building for, the next one's going to be really good. The next one's going to be, that was like, in some ways, that was like the 2020, 2021 of film. Really, when you think about it, like the episode 1 was 2020. Then we're like, well, this is gonna episode. Then 2021 was episode 2. So on this pace, I'm gonna find episode 3 tolerable. I'm gonna think it's okay. The fight scene with
Sure.
Anakin and Obi-Wan, that was a badass fight scene.
Yes, it
I
was.
enjoyed that. I thought that movie was all right. I mean, I didn't think it wasn't my favorite Star Wars by any means, but I thought it was a reasonable movie. And that's another one that people either love it, like people were either like that redeemed all of it, or they still hate it. They're like all 3 of them hate them. And I'm a little in between. I'm like, I thought it was decent. I didn't love it, but I certainly didn't hate it.
Yeah. We had this conversation numerous times. We had on the
We
show.
have had it a few times.
I bet
You probably
we
had
talked
it on
about
Comedy Film Nerds too, I'd imagine.
a couple of times. We've talked about it maybe once or twice on Comedy Film Nerds. And then we'd have this Steele Saunders, who's this Australian comic, very funny guy, has a podcast called Steel Wars. He's just like a Star Wars super fan. Like, he knows so much about it. I feel like I barely know anything when I'm talking to him. And we've had discussions about the prequels, and I always say that they don't exist. The prequels never happened. I always say they're not prequels. They are educational videos about intergalactic trade tariff law.
That's funny.
That they show to college kids at the University of Naboo.
That's like, it's like those diehard sports fans, like when their team loses the Super Bowl, they're like, there just wasn't a Super Bowl that year. It didn't happen. There wasn't a Super Bowl that year. They just did. Like Star Wars prequels. What prequels? That wasn't a thing. That was a made for TV moment. That's all that was.
I acknowledge that some type of media content was made using the Star Wars names, but they were not Star Wars movies. Like I said, they were educational videos. And that's what I will stand by. That has always been the truth. That will be the truth. That's how I'm going to take this.
When I was in 3rd grade, this group of kids made a Star Wars club, and to get into the club, you had to pass a test. They gave you this test, and I was not in the club. They were like, "Do you want to try?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna take a test to be in your club."
I'm sure you had to be a virgin, right, to be in that club?
Well, we were like 8, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that was a preview too.
That's good.
But yeah, I mean, I was like, I don't need to be in your club but they really they noticed that there was a big heavy guy to girl ratio, and in fact it was all guys, no girls. So yeah, right. So they really wanted a girl in the club. So they asked this girl to be, and she's like, I don't, and they're like, please, will you? And she's like, okay. And they're like, you have to take this test. She's like, I don't know anything about Star Wars. So they gave her all the answers as she was taking the test. Like one of the members was like just giving her all the answers, and she's like, okay. And then so she finished the test, and she gave it to another guy who clearly had no idea what was happening, and he was like, oh, you got 100%, you're in our club, we got our Princess Leia, now we can do all the movies.
Oh man, that's fantastic.
I remember that. When you were talking about like people knowing a bunch about Star Wars, I remembered that, because I remember like seeing the test. I didn't take it, and a couple of the answers I knew. A couple of them I was like, I don't know, I don't know. Like one of the questions was like, is there an E-wing? Which at the time I was like, no, there's not. But now I think there actually is. I think there is an E-wing, isn't there? Isn't that a thing?
An E-wing?
Is that a thing or no?
Like a fighter
Yeah, was there an E-wing or was there not?
You
These,
mean
I
an
mean,
X-wing?
dude, these. Well, yeah, I know there was an X-wing, but that would have been too. So it was like, is there an E-wing? And I don't. But I thought there was multiple wings. Was there only? And maybe I was overthinking the question. I mean, dude, these 8-year-olds were thrifty with their questions.
It's the most knowledgeable group of 8-year-olds that we've ever encountered.
They were really trying to make sure you had the Star Wars knowledge pack before they give it to you.
I had I always loved playing. I loved playing Monopoly, and me and my buddies would play Monopoly like in our 20s and 30s. And then I got a Star Wars Monopoly set one Christmas, like as a full grown adult. And then like almost once a year, maybe we would play. My buddies would come over, and I have the original Star Wars on VHS tapes. And we would play the movies in the background while we would play Star Wars Monopoly. We did this well into our 30s. This was
Like you should.
Yeah, it was the most, and I would do it to this day if I still had the Star Wars game, if I still had it.
I mean, yeah, dude. Why not? What were some of the properties you could get on Star Wars Monopoly? Was it like, you landed on Ewok Village, that's mine?
Yeah, it was like that. It was
that's badass, dude.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was like Tatooine was one of them. I mean, it was all that stuff, and you could be a TIE fighter, you could be the Millennium Falcon, you could be So what's Lucy's favorite Star Wars?
She likes Empire. I mean, she's a cat. She's like, I kind of like it when the good guys don't win. It proves my theory on humanity really fucking things up.
When I was a kid and I didn't understand, 3-act structure and that basically Empire was just act 2. The end of Empire Strikes Back, spoiler alert, folks.
If you haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen it,
I'm sure you were just about to get around to it.
I saw the original Star Wars in the movie theater, I think 14 times with me and my friends. Like we saw it all the time. And we would play it all the time. And then when Empire Strikes Back came out, so I was about 10 or 11 years old when that movie came out. And when they say at the end of that, I was just like, what is going on? I was like, they didn't win. The Empire's winning. Darth Vader's Luke's dad. Like, I was like, I don't buy it. Darth Vader, we can't trust him. Me and my friends were just in a tailspin that whole summer. Like, what is going on? Like, this is just like,
it fucked up your whole universe. Like, do you want to go to the pool? No. What the fuck? Luke's dad? I'm not going anywhere.
His hand got cut off. Like, what happened? Like, the end of the first one, they blew up the Death Star. Everybody wins. Like, what's going on? It's just mayhem. The universe is in chaos. I can't sit there and just like go play Little League while everything's just collapsing around me. Like, what do you expect me to do? Like, I was really shook up by that. We were just like, me and my friends, we debated, like, discussed it ad nauseum. Just like, I don't know. There's no way. I was just like, I don't trust Darth Vader, man. I just don't. Like,
you were thinking, I think he's the bad guy.
Yeah. When he said, I'm your father, I couldn't handle it. I
didn't have, in a way, I kind of got like, I don't want to say gypped, but I had an unfortunate sequence. I saw Empire Strikes Back first. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I saw that one first, and I liked it. I think it was one of those things, like, my parents were, I think it was like we were on vacation in Florida, and my parents and these friends of theirs, still friends to this day, they were watching Empire Strikes Back. And I just was like, can I watch it with you guys? Like, because, I didn't know if it was a grown-up movie or whatever. They were like, yeah, you can watch this. And I liked it. Like they thought I might not understand it or whatever, but I really liked it. I think I was in kindergarten, maybe. I mean, I was young, and I really liked it. So I went backwards, and I remember I wanted to see all the Star Wars movies. So my mom would take me grocery shopping, and this was like, remember how sometimes grocery stores would have like a little video rental section? Like that used to be a thing. So this is when that was still a thing. So there'd be this video rental section. They didn't have a ton of movies, but they did have all the Star Wars movies. So I was like, "Mom, can I?" And I grabbed one of the Star Wars movies, and I was like, can I get this?" And my mom was like, "No." And I said, "Why not?" And he goes, "Well, because we have all three of them at home. You could just watch it at home." And I was like, "Yay!" So then like I watched Empire again because I was like, "Well, I need to retain this." And then I watched the first one. So I kind of, yeah, I mean, I kind of went backwards and then forward. And Return of the Jedi was my favorite one. I like that one the best. But
Oh yeah,
as a little kid,
a fully
that
formed
has the
Luke.
most action, like that
Mhm.
has the most fight scenes and stuff. So when you're a kid, I feel like that's the one you're gonna connect with.
It's also got well, you've got a fully formed Jedi Luke.
Right.
You've got we finally meet the Emperor, who is like one of the best villains of all time in cinema. Like,
Totally.
I'm afraid the shield generator will be quite operational when your friends arrive. Like, he's awesome, that scene. Oh, then he's sitting there with the lightsaber. He's like, "Oh, you want this?
Yeah.
That's right. Let the hatred flow. Go ahead and strike me down, boy." Like, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's a
Like,
douche.
and the thing that's great too is like Yoda and Obi-Wan are like, "Luke, you're doing the wrong thing. You have to do what we say." And Luke says, "No, I got to save my friends." And he goes back and saves his friends and still wins despite the trepidations
Yeah.
of Yoda and a celestial ghost Obi-Wan.
Oh, wait, wasn't it? No, that's not right. In Empire, that's when he defies Yoda, and then he gets his ass kicked.
Well, yeah, he gets his
But
ass
then
kicked.
in Return of the Jedi, Yoda just like that's a really funny meme. Do you ever see that meme where they're just like, now that I'm a parent, now that I'm a parent, I understand why Yoda just got so tired of answering Luke's questions. He just dies. Another spoiler. That's a really funny meme. I'm sure y'all have seen it online.
Yeah. Well, it's
It's
also too that's also where we get this weird bizarro logic from Obi-Wan, where he's like, "Why didn't you tell me Darth Vader was my dad?" He's like, "Well, from a certain point of view." He just gives
Yeah,
this
that was
bullshit
fucking
double
weird.
talk.
Yeah, that was some
Just,
bullshit.
it's
That was
just
some bullshit. Why didn't you tell me Leia was my sister before I had this awkward kiss with her? Why didn't you tell
yeah.
me any of this? You freaking weirdo. Like I just wanted to let it play out naturally, young Skywalker.
Like, well, Anakin Skywalker had ceased to exist in Darth Vader. So from a certain point of view, I was telling like, okay, that sounds like some corporate double talk, like a corporate
That
lawyer.
was
Just
yeah. Yeah, that was some bullshit. That's like, yeah, he's like, "Why don't you support Medicare for all?" Well, from a certain point of view, the Medicare for all was gone a long time ago.
everyone has the power to heal themselves. So from a certain point of view, we've all had Medicare for
Right.
all forever. Like, okay, that's
All
not,
right.
you know what I'm
All right.
saying. You know what I asked you. You know what I asked you. Um, all right, dude. Well, I know you got to run. Is there anything else?
Dude, I can't believe we both did really good this time.
That was,
Man, folks might be a little disappointed. Like, oh, they both
it's,
got it like immediately, pretty much.
yeah, it just, when we get it immediately, there's no joking around about the guy not knowing it. Now we just go into
Now we
trivia
just talk
about,
about this stuff.
yeah, we just talk about, we just had a music and movie podcast about Springsteen and Star Wars.
We
It's
just talk
basically,
about the stuff we like. Well, yeah, I'll let everybody know since we did a lot of movie centric talk. I am still trying to raise the funds for my movie, so please do check it out. You can go to GoFundMe.com, type in left at wall, and check out my movie trailer. And if you are able and want to make a contribution, please consider it. There's all kinds of cool perks. You get backstage footage and behind the scenes footage as we're making the movie. You also get a shout out on Get Your News On with Ron. I give everyone a thank you. You can get your name in the credits. We're going to do a virtual screening. So there's all kinds of cool stuff. Please do check it out. Even if you can't, if you can contribute, that's great. But even if you can't, please watch it anyway. I mean, watch the trailer, check it out. We're looking forward to making it. And, follow me on Twitter at Ron Placone, YouTube Ron Placone, Rockfin Ron Placone, ronplacone.com, where someday there's going to be tour dates. Someday.
Maybe we'll be in Europe next spring.
That'd be nice.
Or Australia. Who knows? Although Australia is going into some crazy fucking lockdown shit.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen next year? Anything can happen, Graham.
Anything could happen, Rod. And if you try to make plans, you should know this will not stand because it will all change.
Yeah. Crazy.
Crazy times. Well, dude, thanks for and we'll do the game show next week, next Thursday, 7:00 Pacific time. Anything can happen with Rob Placone, Grab Elwood next Thursday. So check that out, folks.
All right, buddy. Be well. See you soon.
All right, dude. Have a good night.
Peace, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Ron Placone and I had to cancel all of our October tour dates because of COVID, the Delta variant, and all that. But we still have shows in California. Ron and I are doing San Francisco, September 11th, Sacramento, September 12th, Burbank, September 15th, and Lee Camp and I are doing Live Government Secrets, September 18th in Los Angeles. All those tour dates are at grahamelwood.com. All of the venues are requiring proof of vaccination. Dynasty Typewriter on the 18th is also saying you can do negative COVID tests, but check with the venues for what their policies are. I have no control over those policies. Go to grahamelwood.com. Sorry we can't come. This sucks. We'll be back hopefully next year. But if you're in California or want to make the trip, come out to these shows. These are probably the only shows we're going to do this year. Thank you.